Hey there friends, I'm Leo, and it's kind of been a while, right? The last time I made a Sparkmutts devlog was way back in September. And I think you probably were wondering if the project is even being worked on, but let me tell you, the project has never been more active than now. Not only am I being able to build upon and improve the framework that I did before, I also made a really solid plan on how to get to early access. And compared to the previous update, the game now has a main menu scene where different options span to different areas, kind of similar to the first game that I made on Steam. Character creation, which means that now you can make your own doggo and use it in the game. Loading screens that actually load stuff, it's not just a little timer for a fake loading screen to make my game look professional, everything is being actively generated while you wait. Saving and loading, now everything in the game saves and loads seamlessly. You can save your character and your world, and both saves work independently, meaning you can bring your character with your items to another world. It's pretty much like Valheim, a completely reformulated building system with finished buildings, with many more to come in the future. A procedural foliage generation system that I made from scratch. I'm really proud of this one, and this system is going to basically spawn vegetation using procedural seeds around the player. The system itself has a lot of really cool customizable options, and I even turned that into a plugin that you can buy. More info on that later. Backpacks. Yes, now the Adventurer's Backpack is finally not useless anymore. You can equip it to gain extra inventory slots. Also, you can store items inside of the backpack, and if you unequip it, your items will still be contained inside of it, and all of it saves and loads with the item durability. Also, speaking of items in your inventory, I have reformulated how the items behave on your inventory. Now, if you have a full inventory, the item is going to drop to the floor, and then the item stays there and you can pick it up if you have free space. It's pretty much like in Minecraft. And all of these dropped items save their world positions, their item data, everything. So if you drop an axe that has low durability, it's going to keep having low durability, and if you close the game and open again, the same axe is still there. I know that I keep saying about save and load, but saving and loading stuff in games is very hard compared to what you would believe when you first start making games. Saving and loading in just game development in general is very daunting because you need to save and load every single value you're going to use. When I first started making games, I thought it was just kind of clicking a button and saving a snapshot of the game. But it is nothing like that. You gotta save every single variable you have. You gotta make sure that you think about when items first spawn in, they need to load their world positions. If you have multiple levels, you need to load based on what level you're in. That's a lot of different things that you gotta think about. So saving and loading is something that I am incredibly proud of this, this whole 7-month update. And with that, you can actually play the game now, and you can make a house, and you can close the game, you can open it again, you can farm some wood and make more of your home, and then you can close the game and open it again. So that actually makes for the very basic of a playable video game, in my opinion. And out of that tangent now, let's keep going with the list. I've made a new fuel system where you can insert different sources of fuel. It's basically just a modularized version of the smelter that you can insert the coal, but now it can be added to any building. There's also this cool looking cauldron. You'll be able to cook on this bad boy someday. Not someday, but I mean pretty soon. I'm going to work on the crafting. Oh, and now that you don't have unlimited inventory, you can store your items in chests and give them a name. And the name stuff is really useful because when I was playing Valheim, I remember having to put plaques on the chest because I wanted to have my chest with a category. So I wanted to have a chest called wooden logs, or I wanted to have another chest called I don't know, like stone or food. And now it is kind of integrated with the chest. If you don't want to mess with that stuff and you just want to have the regular chest name, it is just going to be called wooden chest. I also changed how the game lights work, basically. Well, not lights, but the materials that I use. All of my materials now have a uniform base light value, which is basically the skylight or the shadow areas. So this means that I can control how bright my items are during the day and during the night. So with this, I can make the game look much better both during the day and have a cool different look during the night. The game also has changed its rendering mode from forward shading to deferred renderer. This is basically because forward shading is very good for performance, but if you have lights, especially dynamic lights in your scene, it is going to completely destroy your frame rate. So when I was first working on Sparkmutts, I remembered that I marked down for forward shading, and I was really happy because I thought, in my innocence, right, that this was just a magic button that would just give me frames for no reason, right? But now I understood that if I try to use any sort of light with forward shading, I would drop to like 15 FPS. It was crazy. Well, I think this is most of the new stuff, just the highlights, I guess. It wasn't that much, I think, I don't know. The reason I didn't do a devlog sooner was mostly because I just wanted to sit down and focus on making the best game I possibly can. I had just recently quit my job and I went full-time working on the game, and I focused a little bit more on building up my Brazilian channel. My idea was to make game dev courses and have them on Patreon or something like that, which would help me make income while working on the game. In the end, the courses were taking too much time, and I really wanted to do them right, you know? And to do them right and with the quality that I needed, it was going to take too much time out of Sparkmutts, so I scrapped that idea. But not everything is lost. Now I'm able to make some revenue to invest on Sparkmutts through my plugin, so that's pretty neat. I also had talks with 2 publishers that were interested in the game. It didn't work out with them, at least for now, but I'm going to keep trying. But thanks to those publisher contacts, I actually made a full multi-year plan on everything the early access needs. And yes, there is a lot of content that is going to be out for early access. Okay, so this is my mind map, and I'm going to be adding a lot more things to it. So this is the main document that I'm using for Sparkmutts, and it is the breathing, living document that is going to be evolving over time, and it is the main thing that I'm going to be using to develop Sparkmutts. All of this planning here is all for early access. So all of these 2 biomes, so the Wandering Wilds and the Bronze Grove, are planned for early access with different trees, different dungeons, and I also have the enemy mapping, which I'm still working on. And you can even get spoiled on some of the characters that or the mobs that I plan to add, like the Gilded Steam Beetle. Then we have the other biome with some other enemies like the Electro Sheep. Then this is the dungeon that you guys saw already. It's pretty much done. I'm going to do some touch-ups here and there on the dungeon, but I'm going to be using that Clockwork Chambers dungeons that I did before. But this is going to be coming on the second biome, so it's going to take a while before we get into that dungeon. And the fish unit mark, I think it was 3. And then this is going to be the boss. So I have all of that planning here. This is the first dungeon we're going to be able to get into, Steam Grotto. So it's going to have oil slimes, coal bears. The boss is going to be a smoldering bat. And this is the items mapping. So this is basically a mapping of all of the essential items the game is going to have. There's a lot of new stuff that I'm planning and I'm going to be inserting into the system to, give more depth to a lot of areas in the game. Because one thing that I'm doing a lot is I'm playing the game a lot as well as I'm developing it. So over time, I start to realize that, for example, things like the woodcutting station is very boring if you have to do it over and over and over again. Because, for example, my buildings, they were very costly. So if you were to make a lot of wood and you were to build something, the wood just wouldn't be enough to do pretty much jack shit when you were building a home, for example. So now what I did is I made all of the buildings cost a lot less. So now the wood actually serves, to build something, and you don't feel like you're just having to go back to the crafting minigame all the time. And another thing that I'm going to be focusing on is adding a new workstation that is going to automatically cut wood for you, but it's not going to be something instant like Minecraft. It is going to be over time, like in something like V-Rising, where you just leave the crafting station there and it starts producing for you. So the idea here is that you will be able to get instant wood, or pretty much instant wood, if you play the minigame. But if you don't want to play the minigame, you can just leave on the automatic version, on like the little sawmill, and you can go and adventure and do other stuff. And when you get back, you're going to have a lot of wooden planks. So this is something that I feel it's necessary from a player perspective. I don't enjoy having to do the minigame over and over again. Even though this was pretty much mitigated after I reduced the costs of everything, and I also made the minigame give you a lot more planks, so this is not nearly as bad as it was before. So all of this is basically a balancing act where I try to make the game fun, right? So apart from all of these essential items, we also have secondary items. And these are pretty much going to be like blacksmith goggles or a tailor clothing, tailor sandals, gloves. These are basically going to be the clothing that the villagers are going to use. And I have a lot of different color variants because I want the villagers to feel very unique and different. So I need to have a lot of different variations for their clothing. And another thing that I'm doing is the villagers are going to pretty much be randomized characters that you already use on Character Creator. So one big thing that I'm doing with Sparkmutts is I'm trying to reuse stuff to make it more worthwhile since I'm developing the game by myself. So for example, I wanted the player to be able to build stuff, right? Because that is very fun. So the building system is going to heavily be used by me as a developer in creating the villages as well. So reutilizing all of these elements really give me an extra length and an extra edge because I am solo developing this game. So I need to make sure that every single thing that I do counts and every single thing that I do is worthwhile. For example, the woodcutting station is a fun minigame that you can do sporadically, but it is also going to be used on the village when you want to work for the woodcutter. You're going to use the woodcutter's woodcutting station to get money, and with that money you can buy crafting materials, you can buy clothing and a bunch of other things. So the economy of the village is a big factor into the game. And there's a lot of different crafting mats that you won't be able to get naturally because they come from outside sources from out of the dragon. And that is why I have this little section here, merchant items, which has glass and clay. Apart from that, I also have the building structures mapping, which has the main structures like stairs, foundations, walls. And you can see here that even though we have a lot of different building options, it is still not nearly half of what I want to add, pretty much. So I also have some very basic planning for the village here. I'm going to do much more extensive planning when I get near to producing these villages. Well, this was pretty much like some planning that I was doing to reformulate some saving for the foliage. And this here is very, very important, and I think you guys could pause it to read it if you want. But basically, this is a progression line that is basically the core things that you need to do in the game. Imagine if you were a speedrunner and you just wanted to play the game as fast as you can. Well, you would need to do these things. So I have everything that is essential to progress through the game here. So forage, craft stone tools, wooden logs, make a build hammer, place a woodcutting station, refine logs into planks, place workbench, craft a wooden stick. So all of these things are going to be the progression line for the early access. And there are also a lot of extra things that you can do, like craft armor sets, cooking, alchemy, farming, house building, and the village interactions, like working for NPCs, buying houses, putting those houses on rent, getting money from the houses that you rent, buying the NPC store and getting daily money from that. So the economy in the game is going to play a big part on it. And if you don't want to forage for stuff, you can just get a lot of money and you will be able to get these crafting materials passively just by getting money and buying them. So imagine getting rich in Fable 2. that was a very cool process where you're just working for NPCs, buying their stores, and just getting richer and richer. But now imagine that this is heavily affected by, well, you can buy a lot of stuff that is going to help you out immensely in building your own home, and you don't really have to go there and cut down a tree, right? So there is a real sense of progression, both in the economy of a village and also on the actual game systems. Okay, so here we are on the game, and I'm going to show you guys around and just talk about all of the new stuff that I added. So on the right here, you can see that we have the patch notes, and the patch notes have everything that I've done ever since I started with this new approach to having all of this planning and going full-time in my game. So first things first, the options. Now there is a lot more options that you can tweak for performance. There's also another language here, which is Portuguese, my native language. The controls is not very fleshed out yet, but I'm going to keep adding more options here. So if you click play, you see that we have my character here. This is a character that I've played for like 1 or 1.5 hours. So I am first going to create a new character and show you guys what I did on this regard. So you can see here that we can randomize the character, and that is going to give you a completely random character created from some presets. So after you find a dog that you really like, what you can do is you can start tweaking the basic data for the character. So the first thing that we have here is race. So you can choose a grass mutt, which is this one that is pug inspired a little bit. Then you have the Skyborn, which is inspired by the Basset Hounds. So you can play around with the physics on the ear a little bit. I have the male and female. Then we have the grass mutt female. Then we have Copper Hounds, female and male. This is the very first one that I had. I think you guys remember this one. And then the new thing, I think it is the newest, or not the newest, but the highlight of the character creator is the fur style. So with this, you can change the character's styling of the comb of the fur. So with this, you can pick up, pick some options where the character looks a little bit insane, like this one. And better yet, you can control the fur size or the length, like this. There's also this crazy option here. And every single combination has unique styles. So this one is unique style to grass mutt males. Females have also a bunch of styles of their own, like this. And then after you pick out the comb that you want and what you want to use, I think I'm going to go with this one. Then you can change the fur texture, and this basically changes how your fur looks. This I think is the better one, and I'm even considering just removing the option to change the fur styles and just use this one, because it 99% of the time looks better on this one. You can also change the fur density, like having very thick fur or having more fine looking fur, or like a little bit slimmer. Then you also have the fur length, and this changes the color a little bit because the color is mostly based on the length of the fur. But you can have the fur, most of the times I always use it with like the maximum length. But if you think it is a little bit too much, you can just bring it down a little bit. And then this is the color patterns. We have a bunch of different color patterns that you can change. And we have the secondary color pattern that goes over the first, and then the third goes over the second. So if this, you can have fine-tuning of the character's coloration, right? Then down here, you can pick out the colors that you want to use. So for example, you can have like more reddish sort of hair, and then a little bit darker like this. Maybe this one a little bit less a little bit less saturation, like this. And you can also change a little bit of the pattern to get a cooler looking pattern. And with this, we can have kind of a bunch of different variations of fur color and fur styling. Apart from this, we also have height controls, so you can make a very little character or a very tall character. We also have head size controls. You can make your character big-headed or small-headed. And you also have tail controls, so you can make your character have longer tail. And normally, if you have a very small character, the tail will generally clip, so you should just do a little bit of this. Let's just make a tall character. And then, you know how we have like one ear is up and one is down? So you can just change the orientation on the ear, on both, and you can choose which one do you want down and which one do you want up. For this character, I'm gonna have one on each style. And you can also change the length of the ear and the width of the ear. So I'm gonna have it very girthy and small, like not too lengthy. Then another control is the snout length. You can make the character's snout protrude a lot more or a lot less. And another thing that I'm going to change the character's... I'm going to change the character's fur just to show you, is the eye controls. So over here we have eye size, and if you take a look at the character's eyes, you can see that the eyes are bigger or smaller. Normally I just go for the biggest one because it looks a lot, I don't know, more stylized. And then you can change the eye color. So the character has customizable color for the eyes. And not only that, but you can also check this different colored eyes here. And then you can have eyes on different colors. So then you can have like one eye this color. In the future, one thing that I could do is set the color for the... is that the pupil? I don't know, the black spot on the eyes. I think we can have a character like this. And then, now that we're done, we can just type in a name. So like Leo Testain. And you can either type in a name or you can click here to randomize a name for you. So Preston Stone. Let's go with Preston Stone. And if I click done, there we have it, Preston Stone. This character is already saved, and it's already going to load in when you open the game again. And if I click play, we have our or mine logic Leo world. I'm going to create a new one just to show you guys the process. So it's going to be called New World Testing. Done, enter, and there we go. Now, while the loading screen is going on, it is basically generating all of the foliage. It's generating all of the saved buildings that you've done. It is basically generating the entire terrain so that when you load in, you don't see things popping in or loading. So there we are. The reason that the game started with rain, I mean, it is supposed to be random, but normally what I want to have in a world that you just created is daylight and clear skies, right? So you can check out the skies better. But I think it is linked to the main menu weather. So if the main menu starts to rain, then it's going to keep raining after you generate it. So here we have it. The character is already in the world. We are going to equip these glasses and some a backpack. And you see here the backpack that we equipped already has slots, and we can equip it to the backpack, or then we can put the backpack on again, and you see that our items are saved. So with that, we also have the basic stuff that you guys know already, like cutting a tree down. And if you press Q, it is going to change the character's position in the camera, because you remember that we have the dual wielding stuff, right? So right now I'm controlling my right hand, and I'm controlling what items are on my right hand. So if I enter my inventory and I bring another item to my secondary hand or my left hand, then I can just change the items here. So this is an intuitive way that I found to just show what hand you have currently active. And with that, we can just keep cutting some more trees. I think this is enough to just show the saving and loading stuff. Let me just finish cutting this guy up. So Right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to quit to the title screen, and I'm going to show you guys the current house that I was building. I spent a little bit of time just building a house with this character here. So I can enter that world with this character, or I can enter the same world with this character, basically the Logic Leo world. So if I enter with this character, I'm going to start at the spawn point, and if I enter with this character, I'm going to start where I last left off with him. So I'm going to do that. Logic Leo world, enter world, and now I think I left my character right outside the house, from what I remember. Let's see. So yeah, right now it is generating the house. It is loading all of the stuff in. And you guys are gonna see that I already have like some chests and some stuff. And yeah, I left off where it was already getting dark. So this is gonna be the perfect opportunity for me to show you guys the fireplace and stuff. So I've made this house, but I haven't finished it. It took me like an hour to make it. So it is still pretty basic, and I think this guy is glitching, isn't it? Let's demolish this to see if... Yeah, this texture is a little bit weird. I'm gonna see what is up with this later. So this is our little home. You can see that some walls there are left to be built. And now that it is getting dark, I'm going to head over to my house. And here are some of the new stuff. We have the chests, and if I open the chest, here are the items that I have stored. And if I go outside, I have another chest here that is called Logs and Stone, which basically is where I store all of my logs and my stone. And that is because I have a workstation right next to it, which I can use to chop down some trees. So if I chop down some logs. So if I take some logs from here and I start to interact with this guy, then I can just start chopping, and they're going to give me some wood. So this part I haven't touched on for the most part, just a couple things here and there. So there's not been many things done here. Let's just organize my inventory a little bit better. A lot of my stuff is almost breaking, but that's fine. I'm going to finish breaking them later. So I'm gonna close the door because these boars are kind of aggressive. So now we can let's see. I think I have something. Well, I have one backpack here and another one that I have stored here. So let's see if I have something good on this backpack. No, I didn't leave anything good on it. Okay, so let's fire up our fireplace. So the fireplace stuff is basically like this. We have this fuel tank here, and you have sources of fuel. This could be coal, this could be wooden logs, this could be wooden planks, and then you can drag these sources of fuel into here. And this is going to turn the fireplace on. And this is the fuel amount, and if it starts to deplete, it's going to start feeding this into here. So if you keep your fireplace stocked with a bunch of stuff, it is going to last you a very long time. So now I press tab and our fireplace is working. You see that we have something cooking there. I don't know, just the water boiling. I'm still going to work a lot on this cooking pot, and you see that we don't have any food and just some broken crafting items. I'm going to be working on this as soon as I implement the new mob into the world, because the game really needs more mobs in the forest. Here is the second story to the house. There's a dragon. We're here. So as you can see, the nights are also very bright. And there's the dragon. So I think there is a boar that wants to kill me, probably. I'm hearing the noises. Hang on. Let me just find this guy. Yeah, I have a weapon. Okay. Let's just kill this guy pretty quick. I'm really going to reformulate the aggression on these guys. Well, I mean, I'm probably going to remake these boars because I'm not really happy with their visuals. And their AI is a little bit too aggressive for a starting mob. So I'm going to make them a little bit more frightened, and they're not going to be harassing you all the time, because currently they are very aggressive and they keep harassing you while you're just trying to make your house or do something else. So I'm going to tweak a lot on their AI after I add the second mob, right? So yeah, here's our home. We have the chests, we have the inventory on the adventurer's backpack. And another thing that I've added, which is pretty big, right, is the building. So building now is completely reworked. We can just come down here and I can show you guys. If you press right click and then you press tab, you start to see all of these different options here. So we have furniture. Here's where we have like a light source. Then here we have utilities, which is the smelter, the woodcutting station, the crafting table, the chests, the fireplace, the cauldron, and we have things like windows, doors, we have roofs, we have tall roofs, we have stairs, circular stairs that kind of go like this. We have beams, wooden beams and stone beams. We have simple walls, and then we also have wooden panels, and I can show you guys what wooden panels do right now. They are going to be really great when you want to just make your house look better on the inside. So if we just go over to walls, wooden panels, then we have this guy in here. We just start placing them, and they always they snap to wherever they need. And I think another board just saw us. Oh god. Yeah, they're harassing me, guys. There was another time that I was playing, and these boars, I left my house, right, to grab some wood. When I came back, they were inside of my home, and they were basically not letting me in. So these boars really do have an attitude. Okay, let me just finish this guy off real quick. Wait, oh, I thought he was gonna go in. Okay, gotta dodge this. I really miss my gun. I think I left it on the chest. Hang on. I think if I go to my chest over here, I probably have my gun here. Okay. Now it is on my secondary hand. So now it's a lot easier to deal with these guys. So, yeah, this is pretty much it for the updates. There's a lot of new stuff that I'm planning to work on, and that is going to be a lot of new buildings, which then is going to lead me to starting on the, basically the village. I'm going to focus on the village pretty early on, because the village is going to be a very big aspect of the game, you know? And I need to make a way to create these houses that I'm doing myself, right? I will create presets of houses, and I'm going to write a mechanic that is going to spawn these houses everywhere, and they're going to be like, they're gonna form a village with a little road, NPCs spawning into these houses, and there's going to be the blacksmith. So, just so you have an idea, the very first moment you play the game, you're going to start in a village, and you're going to see the tutorial from a villager that helps you out. So the whole game's identity is around the villages. So it's something that I need to focus very early on, and just have it in the game working, and then I can keep improving and improving more and more on it. So yeah, if you guys want to test the game out, I'm going to be opening up a Patreon. It's nothing big. It's just like I'm going to allow you guys to donate $1, which is the minimum that Patreon allows me. And then you guys are going to receive a key for the game. Everyone that becomes my Patreon on any level will receive a key for the game. And if you want to help out with more, then you can always put more than $1 and become a patron of more than $1. But I can't promise to give you anything else but the game key, because if I were to do anything else, it would take too much time away from Sparkmutts that I need to put into developing the game. You know what I mean? Okay, so now as promised, I'm going to show a little bit of my Foliage plugin, and that is something that I was really happy with. And it's been a little while since I worked on this, but it is very, very well, I mean, I was very happy with it, okay? I don't want to sound cocky, but I was really happy with the results on it. So I'm just going to show you the demo map so you can check out the generation of the foliage, and that is exactly what I'm using on Sparkmutts. And every time I find something that is not working for me in Sparkmutts, I will fix it, and then I will periodically come back to the plugin and update it for you guys. So this is the foliage generator, and currently it is using the Unreal editor to generate stuff. So for example, if I start moving, it's going to start generating. And the foliage that is generated is always generating in chunks. So if you can see that very clearly with the grass, if I start moving, generates in chunks. And the stuttering is mostly because of navigation, but it doesn't happen on the when you are playing. The whole reason I made the system is so that we wouldn't have those stuttering and the hitches, because this generates in a delayed manner, where every instance takes just like 0.1 seconds to generate, depending on the foliage parameters that you set. So if I click play right now, it is going to start generating stuff, and there we have it. So if I press O, it's going to start generating again, and then everything is generated. This right here is the moment where you would want your game to have the black screen while it's loading. And if I start running here, you can see that it is generating foliage as I walk over the foliage. So you can see over there in the distance that more grass is being generated. And with this, we can generate foliage based on seeds. So these seeds are also going to be world position based. So if you start the player right over there on that tree or over there, the game is going to have the same exact foliage generation because it has the same procedural seed. And you can see on the top right corner there is a seed value. If I press O to generate with the same exact seed, you see that it is generating, and the tree is on the same position. The stone is in the same position, the tree is also in the same position. If I generate it again, pressing O, again, it is the same position. If I press I change the seed, and now it is -1. And now you can see that it changed the distribution of stuff. So basically with this, you can, two people that want to play on the same exact world, they can just feed in the same seed, and they're gonna have the same exact world. Now, another thing that is pretty cool with this foliage system is that you can just start pressing R, like this, to delete stuff around you. So I'm just going to be deleting these. And if I press T, I'm going to start saving. So press T, I saved everything. If I press O to regenerate, it is going to regenerate with the saved state right over there. So all of this works very well. It works a lot more performant on the packaged game, and you can download a free version of the game that you can just execute, and you will basically have this that we're playing right now, but in a packaged version on your computer, so you can check out performance and see if it is good enough for you. But apart from this, in order to use this system, I've made a little series of tutorials that is unlisted on the channel, and if you guys want it, I can just link the tutorial videos for you. But basically how the system works is we just make a foliage component, or yeah, just a child of the foliage component. And if you click to open it, there is a bunch of different elements you can set to it. I'm just going to grab the other tree. I think it's going to be better. And what I'm going to do is I will just hang on, click over here on the WSS actor, And then I can just set activated to false to just deactivate the foliage generation. And I'm going to remove all of the foliage that I want to be spawned here. And I will only add the tree. So if I activate this guy again, it is only going to generate the trees and the actors that I wanted it to generate. So I'm just going to delete the actors and the characters and only have the trees. And if I start to run or to move the camera, you see that it is generating on the chunks. But we can also just delete this nav mesh because it causes a little bit of a hitch on the editor. Okay, so there we go. And if I click over here and I open my components, here you can have a bunch of customizable values like the spawn distance at which it's going to start spawning, the instance rarity, and if you turn this down, you're going to see a little bit less of this item or this tree. You can just set it to something like 0.2 and it's going to be very scarce. But just let's set it to 1. And another thing that is really cool is, for example, let's say that let's just foliage channels. This. So foliage channels is something that I've never seen on a plugin for foliage before, which one problem that I was always finding is if I spawn a tree, there is a chance that a rock is going to spawn on the same space as the tree. So to avoid that from happening, I have this avoidance setting. And this avoidance is going to make sure that this tree here, so you have your foliage type, so my foliage type is tree, and I want to avoid rock and another tree, so other trees I want to avoid as well. And if I go to the rock, you can see that the rock also on its settings, so foliage channels, my foliage type is set to rock. So this avoidance basically means that when I'm spawning, if I am a tree, I'm going to avoid spawning near the rock. So this makes it so that you never have overlap, ever. And because of the generation order that they have like a priority to generate, it's going to maintain the same look based on your seed, pretty much. So apart from foliage avoidances and the avoidance radius, we also have deletion. Now, deletion is different. Instead of me avoiding something else, deletion is me deleting something else. So if the tree has a foliage deletion of name grass with the radius of something like 300, every time it spawns, it's going to destroy the grass around it. So if I just add in the grass here, you can see that it's going to delete all of the grass around it. So if I just add this grass here, it's going to add. Hang on, I think it needs to be flipped. Yep, there we go. And it deletes everything that has a lower priority. So I have a change that I'm going to be adding to this as well. That doesn't matter the priority that it is always going to delete everything in its path. And that is going to be delayed and performance. And I have it working for Sparkmutts, and I'm going to be adding for the plugin as well. So you can see that the grass is being deleted every time to not spawn around this tree here. Now, another feature that someone suggested that I think is pretty cool is to spawn certain types of foliage around certain types of foliage. So let's say that I have a tree with like an apple tree, and I want to have some apples randomly spawning under the tree. We could have something like that based on where the tree is spawning with a radius. So maybe some fallen leaves. So I think that would be pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, that is the basics of the foliage plugin. I think this video has went for too long, so I'm going to be calling it here. I don't know if anyone would watch this for this long, but if you have, thank you for watching my full video. And yeah, I mean, in terms of taking too long to post, I'm not coming back every month or every 2 weeks. I'm going to be doing devlogs once every 2 months, most likely, right? So once every 2 or 3 months, when I feel like it's time to come back and show you a bunch of updates. And if you want to be updated on the game as soon as possible, you can either get a key by becoming a Patreon, or you can just subscribe on the, not subscribe, but like enter the Discord server. And then on the Discord server, there's going to be updates that I'm going to do at least once a week, where I show the stuff that I have been working on, just to keep you guys updated and not leave you in the dark in regards to the game. And yeah, if you guys want to check out the Patreon, I'm going to leave a link in the description or the highlighted comments. And subscribe to the channel if you want to know or see more updates on Sparkmutts. This video was a little bit less scripted because I didn't want to spend too many days on it. I wanted to maybe try to do everything in one day. And I think I ended up being able to talk more about the game instead of having like a robotic scripted video. But the only problem with unscripted videos is that they tend to be too long, in my opinion. So let me know what you guys thought of all of this devlog. And I'm sorry I took so long to come back. I was just too like focused not only on the game, but I also wanted to do some videos on the Brazilian channel because I started getting a lot more views there. So I thought it would be a good exposure to make more videos there. But I'm not going to focus anymore on doing like explosive videos where I'm like, oh, I'm going to try to make a viral video here, so I'm going to make a game about, I don't know, like Resident Evil mixed with The Sims. I'm not going to be doing that anymore because I want to focus my entire being to Sparkmutts. And the videos, the devlogs, are going to be updates on what has been going on with the project, right? But yeah, that's pretty much it. And I'll see you guys next time in 1 or 2 months, maybe 3 months, but I will be back with a lot of exciting new updates for you guys.
Hey, get the fuck out of here.